Okay, in this video, I'd like to showcase the Hunyuan 3D generation tools by Tencent. So as far as 3D generative tools, creating 3D models specifically is concerned, this program I'm probably the most impressed with. While tools like Meshi AI and Tripo are continually competing to whether or not they can do a better job. And I will say both of those tools are absolutely amazing and jaw-droppingly good at what they do. They also are kind of paywall locked, right? Like you have to have kind of a subscription to even download models, right? This tool gives you a free allotment a day, like a lot of tools do, so you can use it a limited amount for free without having to pay anything. So you do have to register for this tool, and it can be a little bit weird because the website is completely in Chinese. So I have not seen a fully translated version of this website freely available kind of online. All I needed was my Gmail account, and I was able to register for it just fine. When you do log in, it sends you a code. You have to put the code in to register to log in, all of that, which is standard fare stuff. But it can be a little intimidating to use a website that's not in a language you know. Right now I'm working in Opera, which I found to be probably the best for this. But every web browser, modern one I've tried, again, Microsoft's browser, Chrome, etc. They all have translation tools. So if you click translate, it will translate the interface to English and does a pretty decent job. So there is a new tool called 3D Studio, which you can take a look at too, that has a lot of really cool advanced features. For that 3D Studio, you get about 30 things you can do in there a day. For the tool on the base page, which is what we're going to use right now, this tool allows you to get 20 model generations a day. So that's not total. It doesn't count credits or anything like a lot of the other 3D tools do. Again, like Tripo and Meshi are fantastic. Tripo, I tried their new tool for making low polygon modeling, is just absolutely amazing. But it gives you only a certain amount of credits to even make the objects, and then you can't even download what you've made unless you're subscribing. So it's like, here's your pittance of credits for you to test to see if you even want to pay for it. And then once you do, then you can actually access the stuff you've made. I'm a little salty, especially since our tool is so good. For this one, I will say the better your upload image, the better this is going to work for you. So if you have a really nice image or set of images to upload, this works really well. To really showcase this, I'm going to use a 3D generative tool to make stuff for a 3D generative tool. So can I get a front view orthographic view of a 3D game character? Trying to think what to make is tricky. I don't know. Again, trying to think of what I want to make. That's the hard part, right? Probably not the best prompt ever, but it should get us there. So basically I'm saying I want a front orthographic view of a 3D game character. In this instance, I just said an Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition style orc, because I'm not sure what they look like. I forget. It's been too long. In a stylized 3D game model in the front view on a white background. So I will say that part makes a difference. Now, I would highly suggest if you have access to Pro to switch to Pro. Fast, I found, is a little underwhelming. You can, or at least recently, I was able to get a free Pro subscription essentially for Google Gemini using my student email. So you're welcome to see if that promo is still kind of going on. I think they do give you access to a couple of these free a day or something. We do want to turn on create image. I don't want any of that junk. And then I'm just going to hit submit. Okay, if you don't click create image, sometimes it'll just give you a description. which is not what we're wanting, right? We're wanting an actual image. Now, I would say once we get our image, we're going to also use AI to create a front view and ideally a side view as well. So you can actually upload either one single image and it will generate a 3D model from one image, and it works pretty good. But I have found it does not do the best job of mentally picturing what the backside looks like. All right, first of all, this does not look like a second edition orc at all. This is pretty heavily like World of Warcraft inspired, but it's a good orc. I probably don't want it to generate the axe here, the axe there, this, shield, and I don't love the like loincloth skirt looking style. Mixamo doesn't handle skirts really well, and the 3D creation tool probably isn't going to handle that well either. So let's make some adjustments. Great. Thank you. I like being nice. Can you remove the weapons and shield and the skirt like armor and put the character in tight fitting leather stitched pants? Okay, and again, I don't necessarily have to do tight fitting, but we're trying to make this as user friendly as possible as we can get. I've done a lot of testing the auto generative tools and the characters and trying to rig those characters. One of the biggest drawbacks to most of the 3D modeling tools right now is the non-optimal look to the actual geometry and mesh itself. So the characters tend to be kind of chaotic in how they're modeled and not necessarily designed properly for proper deformation for animation stuff. That's also why like Tencent has their 3D Studio tool. Again, that's designed to really take a character that has a lot of complexity and break it into separate models and turn it into something a little more useful. But we're also trying to kind of do easy mode here. That's not bad. That should probably animate okay. I'm trying to think. We should probably trying to think. We should do T-pose. Probably should do T-pose. Can you make this character in T-pose? All right. That should probably work. And then we're going to ask it to create a back view of the character and a side view as well. Having all of those is going to make the generation usually work a little bit better. I will say the only thing I found with this particular generator is the more time you spend on these images, like the better images you got, the usually better job it does of creating the character. So that would work perfect. Let's just download that. Can I get the matching orthographic? It took me a while to realize how much the word orthographic helps with this. Back view of this same character. And then we'll ask it for the side. So maybe we'll break this video into a couple of pieces. I feel like, I apologize, my videos get long. Maybe I should just do like a 50-minute video. I think a lot of people like those on YouTube these days. So, but you can see, using AI to create these images, it does a pretty decent job. I would say overall, while this character maybe is not the most inspired orc-like character, you're going to get, it's pretty generic. It looks like an orc character, right? Nobody's going to probably look at that and go, well, that's not an orc. So keep that in mind. Here's the back side. I will say be careful with the logic. Sometimes it has trouble with belts like this. You can see here there's 1, 2, 3, and then it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 on the back. So that's going to be fun. It is not going to handle that in a way that makes any logical sense. I would say if you're using this tool, If you had the time, you could try to prompt it to get rid of that. Honestly, I would probably just go into Photoshop and edit it myself. Or even easier, probably just go in here and copy this side to this side and give them 4 straps instead of 3. That way it matches. The AI will not catch things like that. Again, I would say the biggest complaint people have with AI generative elements is lack of quality control, right? If you want AI to do 100% of the work for you, good luck. It never does a great job 100%. But man, if you wanted to get like 80% of the job done, it is shocking. Because this character, while again, these weird issues are a problem, obviously, I mean, overall, it's pretty amazing. That's a pretty amazing looking reference piece. Can I get a matching side view? I better say orthographic side view. And that should be enough. Now, I don't know if we really even need a matching side view. Again, the front and the back look pretty great. Again, one logical inconsistency here. But it ain't bad. I mean, I've seen human reference art get things wrong too. So again, I would suggest fixing that if I wanted to be better. While that's loading, since it's taking a while anyway, we're gonna come over here to this generator. We're gonna upload these images. So over here I can click multiple images, single image or multiple images, and then it's gonna ask, okay, upload them. So we're gonna pick our front view here and grab this guy. Again, I find Opera is really nice because it loads all of them in this little menu. Big fan. All right, and there's our back view, and then let's come back over here and see. I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense. Looks like it changed the hair. So we'll see. Right? We'll see how it turned out. I got a feeling it's going to have some issues with that. And it has not downloaded, so maybe we'll just copy it. Copy image. Okay, so it is facing this direction, and there we go. Okay. Now, like I said, this thing, it takes a minute. The one thing you can do too here is you can choose the number of faces of the model. So I'm going to pick 50K because it's going to give me the lowest, most close to a usable file as I can get. In this tool specifically, my experience, usually a higher poly count model tends to be a little bit better because it has more resolution for all those details. I found that the model also usually looks really good. The texture is okay. Sometimes it does a really great job and sometimes it does not. So just keep that in mind. Well, again, we're going to pick 50K and then we're going to click generate immediately. It takes about 3 minutes for this thing to generate. So you can see again here, 190 seconds or so, which is pretty fast, a lot faster than if I were modeling by hand. Again, in my personal opinion, this can be a great place to start from. Usually a better path forward than a place to finish from, but that's okay. We'll see what we get. I will say while this is generating, the one thing to keep in mind is once we have this model, then we are going to still need to rig it. Now, this tool will actually provide you a download with the model in a folder with the textures, and you can load that model directly into Mixamo from the download that you'll get from Tencent. I will tell you, because of the non-optimal for animation style of the geometry, I haven't had a great experience loading the model directly from this straight to Mixamo. So if you're wanting to do this path, it would probably be a good idea to either use the built-in 3D Studio tools to turn this into something a little more usable, or if you're wanting to go a more traditional path, to actually create and retopologize it and create a low polygon model to animate from based on this model. Again, if you're wanting to use kind of that traditional pipeline, you could also take this model into something like ZBrush or Mudbox, and then you can fix some of those errors, the issues, the weirdnesses, and the texture that might still be there and those kind of things, again, if you wanted to. So that's just something maybe keep in mind. As you can see, once it gets past the halfway mark, the model itself is actually done, and now it's just working on the texture. As I mentioned earlier in this video, the model is usually pretty amazing. Like, again, not always. I've definitely had some terrible looking models and some funkiness. So sometimes I feel like with all these tools, it's a bit like playing the lottery. You know, sometimes you'll win first time through. Sometimes you'll need to upload it and try generating it again a couple of times to get what you're looking for. So while the texture sometimes needs a little bit of love, the model is pretty impressive. Okay, so this thing is done finally. So you can see here, here's kind of what I was talking about, where the texture ain't great, needs some work. So you can see this character doesn't look terrible, but if you look, I mean, can't really, its eyes are kind of all blurry and hardly there. Again, from a distance, it's not bad, but as we zoom in especially, we start seeing some of the issues. Overall, I think he did a pretty nice job, but not perfect, right? Again, the face, where, you know, as a human, you're probably going to be spending the most time looking, it's kind of funky and hard to tell. Where with the armor, it's not bad. Again, there's some spots, the buckles here don't make a whole lot of sense and stuff. You know, so you can kind of see the issues. If we turn off the texture, though, the one thing I definitely want to illustrate is, if we turn off the texture, the model is really not bad. I would say, gosh, as far as model is concerned, this is a pretty solid model. And remember, we picked 50,000 polygons. This model is actually, you know, again, it's kind of lower. I wouldn't say 50,000 is low, but it is. You can see the surface, right? This really is a pretty nice model. It's the texture that is rough, right? So again, if I were going to be using this in a game, it needs some love. It needs some paint over for sure. So, but it's really fascinating, I think, from a developer. You can see, okay, look at the number of fingers. It's hilarious, right? Looks like he's only got 4 fingers. Right? But good enough, you know, then we can use it. So I'm just going to pick object. Again, we can do object, FBX, etc. And we can do download. There are some auto bone binding and rigging tools in here that we could use as well. So if I click that, it will kind of try to rig inside of here. Now again, we're looking at Mixamo. I'll go ahead and let that cook here, but you can see here I can upload that character that we just downloaded straight from the downloads folder. It'll work, but I've had a lot of weird flying vertexes and strange things using Mixamo. So again, you know, we'll do both. We'll upload the character here, and we'll take a look at the Tencent tools as well, just because we can, and see how it looks. Okay, so it says it's done. Let's see. I don't know. That's telling me to wait or something. Okay. So that one's still going. All right. So we'll use them both at the same time. Why not? All right. So you can see here, we'll pick our chin. It's good. We'll pick our wrists. I will say sometimes you got to go back and kind of tinker with this if it doesn't quite work out right. Then you can see here, because again, I knew I was going to be trying this out in Mixamo. That's why I got rid of that weird armored skirt thing, because that could work. We'll just do these because he's got weird fingers anyway. So let's try him out. Also got a really weird ponytail, but you know, that could just be a stylistic choice. Alright. So here it is in here. This is really not bad, huh? I don't know. Again, it's of course bending the metal, but you're going to see Mixamo's going to have the same issues. Again, the problem with a character like this is the armor, these shoulder pads. They're part of the model. Like, he has no shoulders underneath there, right? So that's going to be causing issues no matter which animation tool we're using. So you'll see the same thing over here. Again, depending on the animation, it may not matter. Also, look at this character with his crazy face. So maybe we'll try to move the chin down and try it again. This is the biggest problem with some of these auto tools that require a little bit of work. And of course, you could download this model, you could convert it with the Character Studio, and you could actually go in and play with the vertex weights to try to get it to work. Now that we know and we've identified some of these issues, so things that we've learned doing this experiment, right? Let's remove the shoulders, right? They look great, but they're not going to work for animation. So I could go back to Google and say, okay, remove the shoulder armor. The forearm armor's fine. Shoulder armor's giving me trouble. So I could ask it to remove the shoulder armor. We could generate a model of just the shoulder armor by itself too, right? Or model our own. But you can see I could ask it to do that. I could, by removing the shoulder armor, maybe even changing the hairstyle, we could more clearly define the head and the neck, which might help with some of those issues as well. So this is some of the drawbacks from using your own model, especially if it's kind of not planned, for some of the shortcomings of these auto tools. Now, Mixamo's been around for a long, long time. Yeah, you can see here. I could kind of fix this in Max, after the fact. Again, we could try to grab those vertices and modify them. You can see it just is not going to work out, though. I don't know. That head don't really work out. Now, of course, we could remove the animation for the head as well. So when we convert it over to Character Studio, we can just not animate the head, and that'd probably be all right. Kind of up to you what you're looking for. The hands and stuff look pretty good, though. All right. That's a weird video, 20-minute video, and we're still hitting issues. But this is what happens when we're experimenting. We're trying new things. It doesn't always hit perfect. You can see the 10 cent. We can go back and take a look at the 10 cent animator. It looks like it handled the jaw a little bit better, but we don't really know what this character would look like with the animation in its face. Because again, it's not really doing that very well. We could see. And I don't know if I don't have any scripts to convert this over to something we can use inside of Max. So we're kind of limited there. If we wanted to keep this guy, we could just hit next. And we have our character kind of rigged, and we could have downloaded and then modify it. So maybe we download. Great. Download. So there's our T-Pose 1 character. Here we are inside of 3ds Max. Reset. Don't save. I will say, so it downloaded that character. So T-Pose 1, which is the orc guy. I'll go ahead and put the orc in there. But here is our character downloaded straight from Tencent. Let's go ahead and extract all. And I'm going to go ahead and put this T-Pose orc character into that folder. Now, if you remember, why are we doing that? It's because here are the materials. They're not great, but they're what I got. So now when I go to import this guy, it should be able to find those materials and look right. So I'm trying to make our lives all easier. So here it is. Now our Mixamo script will work with this, and we can kind of show how we might be able to fix the character. Ooh, the sizing is way off. Hold on. Let's reset. Don't save. Yes. Let's do this again. Let's file, import, and grab that character. That's the right one, but he is not the right size, huh? Let's see. We'll go to units. I will try millimeters and see if that works. Oops. Yeah, probably. I don't know. If it comes in smaller, we'll try a different one. But Yeah, it looks like it fixed it up a little bit, but still kind of super tiny small. Um, let's see. Yeah, it's always real tricky rescaling stuff, so we'll just keep it that size. Um, again, we're gonna go. We have our auto biped script. Let's go ahead and drop that in here and create. And we should be good to go. Obviously, again, the face, the pulling, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to go into the skin itself. Notice that was faster than the other one because it didn't have all that weird stuff. So like here, if we grab our skin and we go to envelope, we can take a look. See, here's the envelope for the head, which is gigantic, but it's using more baked in weights. So I could shrink it a bit, although it's probably unnecessary, but let's go ahead and shrink it a bit. That's how it should look. Anyway, but you can see it's baked these vertex weights. So I'm going to need to probably grab them and paint them more to match the head. So you can see right here they're using the head, but it's using some sort of absolute effect. We can try it, see if the paint weights works. I don't know. Probably not. Okay, let's just do absolute effect of, we'll do 0.8. That's going to be like most of the head is going to grab most of those vertexes. So we lost some of this, so we'll do a 0.8 in there. I might grab, again, some of this side, looks like. Now, whether that's going to work good enough or not, we'll see. But if we turn the head now, you can see we accidentally grabbed some of the wrong stuff. So it still needs a lot of work. This is where the manual rigging stuff gets fun, and that's sarcasm, because getting this right is going to take a lot. Again, we need to grab these. Obviously, should not be it. So 0. But it's going to be harder to try to get like the neck here. You know. All right. So again, getting this guy rigged right, it's going to be a bit of a bear. Oh man, that is terrible looking. What in the world? Okay, all I've done is managed to make it worse. So Control Z, a couple of steps. So you can see here was a little bit better, but still kind of attached these weird parts, and we're having trouble. Okay, so that's going to take us quite a while. We could try rigging it by hand and using envelopes and different tricks and keep playing with it, but you know, we're trying to make our job easier. Hopefully you found this informative though, and again, removing these things, changing up the look of this character, that kind of stuff would make my life way easier when it comes to rig this than it is. So might just be easier at this point because you get to see how quick it was to make this character just to make another one versus trying to fix this one. But how weird is it we live in a future where it's easier to make a new one than to fix one that's already finished? It's wild. All right. Thanks for watching.